Hey guys, welcome back. They're doing the whole EBS whatever alert thing, so I thought it'd be a good time to step outside and do a video. And today's topic is going to be about the conscious, subconscious, a little bit about the unconscious as well, and mainly the unification of these, the subconscious and the conscious rather. So I think I mentioned this before in other videos, but the conscious level of awareness is, getting up in the morning and making a conscious choice between whether you're going to have cereal or eggs or just coffee for breakfast, right? And that can make the analogy to the planes of existence as well. The conscious is the material plane, the physical plane, what we can easily see and partake in and observe with our senses. But then, of course, in the background, there's the subconscious mind. And this subconscious mind is said to really be running the whole show, the whole 95% of your decisions. So while even though in the morning you may wake up and say, yeah, I choose cereal, well, if the other 999 times you also chose cereal, at that point it's become a subconscious choice. And it's arguable that even that first choice could have been a subconscious choice because it led you to make the other 999 choices. Now the subconscious is this programming, and I would analogize this to the astral plane, to the etheric and astral plane level. This is where it is said that all the memories potentially are even held in the subconscious, the past life or in between lives memories, and we see them being accessed through these subconscious regressions, subconscious hypnotic regressions that you can find all over YouTube. And you can find specifically also the entity manipulation and intervention that is affecting our subconscious also in these regressions and also in the subconscious, right? These implants, these psychic phenomena, these effects that are happening in the background outside of the five senses, right? The sixth sense, the intuition, the subconscious ability to intuit is that subconscious connection to the higher or lower astral planes, but higher than this plane for sure, right? The overlay, the higher overlays. So with that reasoning, we can say that the subconscious is something that really needs to be made conscious, because it is ultimately very vulnerable to these entity infiltration. And if we are not aware of our subconscious patterns, these things that we do on a day-to-day basis without us even knowing the decisions we make, it's really, like I've mentioned before, the astrology, the personality, the numerology that takes an effect on us, that causes us to react without us even being aware of it, without us even knowing. Now, this unification process, this making the subconscious conscious, allows you to come into more of your free will, more into your awareness as the true spiritual being in this matrix realm, potentially. That now you are not a slave to the system anymore. You are not a slave to the actual programming. Because ultimately when you are born and up until the age of 7, although I do believe those coincide with each other, the programming you are born with is manifesting in that age of 7 exterior programming, I think. But in that time, you are this sponge, right? And you're soaking up all of this environmental activity that more than likely is some sort of trauma, some sort of impact on your psyche, on your subconscious mind, because you're naturally in that state as well, in the theta state. And you are very easily manipulated, you're very vulnerable to the outside phenomena, but also to the aspects of your astrology, of your personality. You're more likely to act on those tendencies and be connected to that aspect, right? When the trauma does happen, though, what happens is it then fractures the mind, and we get these multiple, let's say, more conscious elements of our subconscious. So we think we're being conscious when we're acting this certain way, and then all of a sudden the trauma kicks in, flips, our subconscious shows itself, and the conscious personality shifts. And that's the main role of the system, I think, to create multiple personalities, multiple fragmented psyches, to further fracture the spirit and throw bits and pieces into these personalities, right? Because if you have this, let's say, the astral body subconscious, right, and that contains somehow the spirit. Spirit is powering this astral body, and then you split that into this other conscious personality that's acting independently, or seemingly independently, and then that needs an aspect of spirit to power that, right? Then you split it again, and that needs an aspect, and that needs an aspect, kind of like the sun and its rays. You're never going to return to the source, the solar source, if you keep jumping from ray to ray to ray to ray to ray to ray to ray. You can go in circles forever, right? And you'll never really discover your true authentic self, even though I don't think the subconscious is the true authentic self, but it is closer, right? When we are acting from our subconscious, we are likely usually being authentic. We are telling the truth, and we're not even aware of it, right? This can be seen very much so in the game of poker, right? Someone may be trying to bluff consciously on the outside, but subconsciously it's all over their face, or in their eyes, which is why people wear sunglasses, because they lift up and they have pocket aces and their eyes glimmer just for a split second, but to the trained eye, the trained conscious eye, someone else can catch that and say, oh, it's all over your face, man. I know you're bluffing. I know you have pocket aces. Stop trying to get me to bite. Stop trying to get me to bet. So in that regard, the subconscious is showing the true manifestation of that being, let's say, right? Now, to unite these would be very similar to what I would say would be more like a matrix unification, because it's not really its unification. It's more bringing light to it, right? Becoming aware of it, right? Of that, let's say, basement. You're bringing light to it. You now know what's in there. So now when something comes out, you're not surprised by it, but also you can clean it, you can tidy it up, get rid of the garbage. Now your subconscious becomes something that does not affect you, does not cause you to react without your awareness, without your full control, let's say, even though that's probably a misnomer as well. But to the matrix unification idea, it's kind of like the blue and red phenomena, the dualities, right? So a lot of people say, oh, well, red pissed me off, they're no good, let's go to the other option, which is blue, they must be better, right? And we see this in politics, Democrats, Republicans, and now we're seeing it with genders, with the patriarchy being bad, and now we're going back to the matriarchy, like that's somehow better. It's just one side of the coin, right? So people swing from extreme to extreme. When you push the pendulum this way, it's going to come back equally the opposite way until it stops in the middle. Now, the unification, the matrix unification, is also can be seen as sex, but uniting the blue and red gets purple. We get the Phoenicians, right? The purple, the elders, the enlightened ones wear purple. The purple is the highest chakra, representing the crown chakra. That's the matrix unification, and I believe the architect of this matrix is at some level unified, because from that unification has to come the split, right? From the unification point comes the split. But that's not true unification. Uh-oh, we're getting attacked again. That's not true unification. It's like taking both pills. You're taking both the blue and the red pill, but you don't need either pills. There's still pills that you're taking. It's really a rejection of both, a rejection of all of these labels, transition and a transcendence to something higher than that. Now, the true source likely is unified, but the concepts of division likely don't exist. It's almost neither in both. It's the paradox, right? And that's why the absolute truth here is a paradox, because it's my truth and your truth, even though they're contradictory, they're existing at the same time, right? They can both exist and be true relatively, but combined, giving you the absolute truth. Now, going deeper than the subconscious, well, first, before we go deeper, let's talk about the effects that these entities can have on us. Now, if these entities reside in this astral plane, right, and our subconscious is likely that astral body, that astral mind, the higher mental body, or the higher mental plane, higher astral body, that contains the memories, that contains the emotional memories, the emotional significance of our lives, and the reactions that we hold, the programming. And it's very easy for someone residing in that plane to come in and poke at our astral plane, especially if it's in a vulnerable state, and create physical effects and phenomena, right, in this actual plane by giving you subconscious impulses that you think are your own, that especially you may not even be conscious of, and you may say, oh, this is a desire I have, this is a passion I have, this is an impulse I'm having, that whether you're aware or not, you act on, and then that creates a certain physical effect, or a certain physical cause, which can also create a certain physical effect. So this is where the manipulation happens, and that's why it's so important to clear these beings, whether they're angels or demons, because remember, they reside in these same astral planes, whether they're higher or lower, okay? Whether they're positive or negative, whether they're blue pill or red pill, they can have the same influence on you, and it's not really you, which is why I've said that we're like in a Truman Show with both sides trying to play us for entertainment, good going to war against the bad. Now, through these subconscious regressions, you can become more aware of these things, more aware of these entity infiltration, these AI involvements, these implants that can affect you, but also through deep self-reflection constantly. Why am I doing this? Why do I want that? Is this really me? Is this really who I am? What kind of facial expressions am I making? What kind of phenomena am I exhibiting? Now, it's very hard to see yourself from the outside, so that's why relationships can often be the biggest mirrors in showing us this. But do not use them for that purpose, really, because they can really be a huge trap, especially with the twin flame phenomena. Oh, I'm your biggest mirror, and you know, it's really just a toxic relationship, and it's not helping you. You're not actually doing anything. And an example of this astral influence can be like the physical plane being akin to a square. Now, the square, let's say, is in a cube, but the square does not have access to the cube. The square has the 5 senses, cannot access the cube. So in order to affect the square from the outside of the square, you have to be in the cube. You have to be aware of the cube, right? The cube can affect all the faces of the cube, but the square can only affect one face, this actual inside the square. Now, you can't affect the whole cube without being in the hypercube, the multiple cubes, right? And this would essentially would be the astral plane. The hypercube affecting just the cube, affecting just the square. So you have to be in the higher to affect the lower. In the physical, you can affect within the physical, but to change and to be outside of the actual physical laws, the laws of gravity and the Newtonian physics, you have to go into the quanta realm, the etheric realm, and the astral realm. That's where these laws break down. And even in these dimensions, we see with this sine wave, it goes to ultimate positivity and then ultimate negativity, both sides being rather infinite in its approach to the potentially ethereal, not ethereal, but spiritual actual bounds in which this is contained in the womb, right? And that, if you map that out, gets you the infinity sign. The infinity sign is just a sine wave going backwards, or the cosine on top of the sine wave, right? So the sine wave and then the cosine wave, and you map those both out together, you get the infinity Ouroboros. And that's what's keeping you in loops. Because every time you have an incredible emotional outbursts, right? Whether it's positive or negative, you feel extreme joy. You're really happy that you just won this competition. Well, somewhere down the line, you're going to be really, really upset that you lost it, because you created this emotional response. You've put this energy out. You've moved the sine wave very high to the upside. Now, it's going to go very low to the downside as an equal and opposite reaction. It's one of the laws of this matrix. So if that's not something that you want to experience, then you can't be extremely happy when something good happens. Because that's, again, part of ego. Oh, I did that. I'm so happy that I achieved that. And then boom, they collapse your ego, right? They push you off the cliff. They build you up and they push you off. Again, subconscious programming. And then we get to the unconscious, which is the void, kind of where all of this Ouroboros is engulfed in, all of this plane, right? It's the womb within the actual mother. But again, the mother is existing on a different plane. So there must be something more than the void. There must be something more than the womb. We must get to where the mother is from. That's where the true spirit reality likely is. And maybe even further than that, because they say Sophia is actually on the plane right above the architect of this matrix. But even she is not in the full spiritual realm, because she fell to restitute her mistake. So, in terms of the subconscious, it's very important to become more aware of this programming. Again, things like numerology, astrology, and whatever personality decoders you may use help you to make you more aware of your matrix components, of the subconscious programming affecting you and causing you to act in certain ways. Now again, I do use readings for this type of thing. You can find a video explaining that and a link to my Etsy on my main YouTube page, on my main YouTube channel, that you could just click on this channel. This is the main YouTube channel, but you click on it and like the home page of the channel pops up with a video, welcome video. Click on that, watch that, the link's there, it's all there. If you want to get a reading, hit me up on there. But that's not the only way to do it. Again, like I said, deep self-reflection, relationships can help. But that 95%, imagine if you can tap in. They say we only use 10% of our mind, right? Well, it's likely 5, because if the 95% is really causing all of our decision making throughout the day, then it would help to make that 95% more conscious. Okay? If you guys enjoyed the video, give it a like. Let me know what you thought in the comments. Subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.